Hi creatives, you're welcome to another interesting tutorial. Dimma here, and on this tutorial I'll be sharing with you how I made this gorgeous crop top with bell sleeves. This tutorial is loaded. I even included how to take some basic measurements for your patterns and also how you will alter sleeve patterns to get a desired sleeve. Yes, this bell sleeve, how you can use this basic sleeve to derive this bell sleeve. Okay, so, and this is the final top, and you will not want to miss any part of this tutorial. Let's get right into it. So here you can see what I have, my fabric and the lining. That is what I have there, and this is the basic. These are the basic patterns. That is the front and the back pattern. Okay, so right now I will be, this is the front length, which is about 17 and a half, and this is the back length, about 16 1/4. And this is the side bust dart, which is the difference between the front length and the back length. Now this is how to take the front length, and that is how to take, this is how to take the back length. Okay, so now this is the shoulder. I'll go ahead and explain how to take the shoulder. You take it from one shoulder bone. If you feel your shoulder, you will notice a bone there. From one shoulder bone to the other, whatever you get, you divide by 2 and impute there. And that is the across chest, which you get at 5 inches down and then across like that. So this is how to measure it: 5 inches down, then across. You know, this is a miniature form. That is why I got like 3.5 inches. So right now this is the across chest, and that is how to measure it. Okay, and that is the shoulder slope, which is 1 inch drop, and this is the armhole. You connect from the shoulder tip to the across chest, and then where the armhole measurement strikes the bust measurement. Now this is how to take your armhole measurement. Round the arm. You know, normally the arm comes out from there. You just measure around there and add 2 inches. Whatever measurement you get, add 2 inches and divide by 2. That is what is going to be used for your armhole. Okay, so that is that for this front pattern. That's the side bust dart and every other thing. If you have any question, you can ask in the comments and I'll be there to answer you. So I just added 2 inches to the front and the back half length just to make the top longer than the basic half length, because that is how my client wants it. Okay, so that is all. And the neck measurement is 3.5 by 3.5 because my client has body a little, not so much, yes, but I used, and here I used 3.5 by ½ inch drop for the back neckline. So I'll go ahead and just cut out this basic pattern and continue with the pattern cutting and sewing. So what I'm just doing here is just to cut out the pattern and nothing else. So here I have my front and the back pattern, just as you can see. And you can see the difference in length, which is the side bust dart that you can see in front there. I did not include the waist dart because, as you can see in the pattern that I am copying, the waist is unstitched. It has unstitched dart on the waistline. Yeah, that is why I did not, stitch the dart. But the dart is there, but it is not stitched. So I did not include it in the pattern. Like, I did not draw it, but it is there. It is there, but it's not drawn. So what I am going to do now is just to place my fabric on fold. This is 6 yards of fabric. I will just go ahead and cut out 1 yard and start with that. So I've cut out 1 yard. I'll just place it on fold, just as you can see me do, and I'll go ahead and cut the front and the back pattern pieces. Aside what I'm saying, please pay close attention to what I am doing. That way you will understand perfectly what I am doing in this sewing tutorial. So here is the center front, and I'll be adding allowance there because there will be buttons at that center front. There are buttons. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and pin it down so that it doesn't move, and I'll go ahead and cut it out. So watch closely what I'm going to do. And here is the back pattern. I will also place it put it in place and pin it down so that it does not move. Okay, Now the next thing to do is just to add 1 inch there. This 1 inch is the ease, it's not the sewing allowance, please. It is the ease because this top is not tight on the body. So I added 1 inch to the basic measurements of my pattern of my client. Okay, and there I am adding 1.5 inches for the button allowance, okay, with the sewing allowance there as well. The button allowance is 1, while the sewing allowance will be half at that center front. Okay, so this is what I am doing now. I'm going ahead to cut the neckline with 1/2 inch and the shoulder line with 1/2 inch, and then I'm cutting out the 1.5 I measured at the center front as well, and I'm adding seam allowance right now to the, the first one I did was the ease, as I said. So I'm using 1/2 inch for the armhole as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to draw this dart. I extended it to this place and I am going ahead to notch it. I'll be notching all of that. So I'm just measuring the dart here so that I'll just write it down there. But you know that the length of this dart is, it will be taken from the seam allowance straight up to the dart point. Okay. So this here is the button allowance and here is the sewing allowance that I'm notching now. Okay, watch where I notched it. I did not notch it where the ease that I added earlier started. I added it from the ease, okay, because that is where the seam allowance is. So this is the back pattern. Now what I'm going to do now is to just go ahead and add the same ease I added in front. That is 1 inch by the side, and I drew it like that. Now the next thing is just to add 1/2 inch there. You can see how I tilted my hand towards the waistline because I want to take a little bit of back tightening, 50% tightening there, and that is why I did that. But to make it clearer, I'm going to show you on the pattern. Now I'm going to go in on the pattern by 1/2 inch and I am trimming it like a dart, just the regular way you take your back tightening. Okay, I ended it at the level of the armhole. If you're not clear with what I did there, then you need to watch the basic pattern making tutorial on this channel. I'll be linking it in the description box just in case you need to see it. Okay, so right now this is the seam allowance for the side that I added to the already existing ease. Okay, and I cut the armhole with 1/2 inch. I'll go ahead and add notches everywhere necessary. So watch closely to see where I am going to add the notches. Please, the back tightening is optional. It's just that I wanted to have that kind of fit at the back. So it is optional. You can actually go without adding the back tightening. Okay. So that is the back pattern there. And this is the front pattern. So our pattern set is complete right now. And remaining the sleeve though and the collar. Okay, so right here is the lining. I just cut out 1 yard. I cut out a small amount and then I will be placing the front and the back pattern. Please measure to ensure that you don't cut what is smaller than what you need. Okay, measure, always measure when you want to like cut out a portion of your fabric to start using. Ensure that it is enough, like using your bust measurement to gauge it and something like that. Okay, so right now I'm cutting out the neckline and every other part, just cutting the lining exactly the same way I cut the fabric, and I am also going ahead to put all the notches that are on the fabric on the lining as well. That is just what I'm doing here. And this is for the back pattern. I cut it exactly as well, and I am going ahead as well to put all the necessary notches on the back pattern. That is on the lining of the back pattern. So here is the sleeve. This is a master sleeve pattern and I just marked level 18. Okay, 18, because that is the total length of the sleeve that I can deduce from the picture. And yeah, I marked 18 and I am going to trace it out on this white paper. This white paper is on fold. Okay, so now that I've traced it out, I'll go ahead and use my pattern master to just rule out the end. Aside what I'm saying, please watch closely to see what I am doing. So here is the length of the sleeve. I'm just taking the level for the flea, okay? That is the level for the flea. I marked about 6.5 inches from the hem up. I think that's what I used for the flea length, okay? So you just go ahead and cut out this sleeve pattern, just as you can see me do. Cut it out like so, and we go ahead to alter it further. Now I've divided it into two, and the upper part is the basic sleeve pattern, which is like so. And you know that the difference between the front and the back is just slight, like this, almost insignificant. I can assure you that if you're careful to fix the sleeve without even trimming it out, you will not notice, okay? So that is what I have there, just in case you want to differentiate between the front and the back. That is how to do it. So right here I have the lower part of the pattern, and I'm going to divide this into 3 equal parts. Just measure what you have there and divide it into 3 equal parts so that you draw your slash lines. That is just what I want to do there. And this is what we have. Now I'll be using this to cut the flea. Now I had to go ahead and fold like you can see me do right now, and I will be cutting out the sleeve. So I cut out the basic part of the sleeve. That's why I always say I like cutting out with the back sleeve pattern, which is what I'm cutting out right now. You can always trim one side of it to be the front pattern, because the back is actually more prominent than the front. So right here I'm notching. Please, when you're making this sleeve pattern, remember to add extra 1 inch, which is ease, to the biceps, okay? If your biceps is 14, you know that this one is going to be 16. Yeah, on fold you added 1, but when you open it up it's 2 inches, okay? Because you added 1 inch ease to the side of this pattern, okay? So right now I am spreading, I'm slashing the slash lines, and I'll be spreading it like this, okay? Spread it carefully and then use your chalk to blend it. So I'm using my chalk and my tape to blend it appropriately. So after blending now, what I'll do is to cut it out. Do well to pin it down if you cannot control the movement of those papers, okay? It's always the best to pin it down to avoid the paper moving and disturbing the pattern or the flow of the pattern, please. So, but I feel I can manage it. That is why I had to just go ahead and cut it out. But please, if you cannot, go ahead and pin it down and then cut it out. So that is what I just did here. This is the flea and it's on fold, okay? That's the flea and it's on fold. So here we have basic sleeve pattern 2 and the flea patterns 2 as well, and I've gone ahead to cut their lining as well, just the same way I cut the fabric, no difference. So right now you can see the interfacing on it, hairstay, and on the lining I have gum stay on the neckline, okay? I will also be adding gum stay along that part that will carry the buttonhole and the button. I will add it on the lining, please, on the lining, the place that will carry the buttonhole and the button. Please note this, I've not applied it here, but I will later apply it and you will still see it in this tutorial, okay? So right now, this is the point where the dart is going to be stitched to, and I'm going to stitch the dart for both the lining and the fabric. So right here I've stitched the dart and I've ironed it down for both the lining and the fabric. So that is the only dart that will be on this dress, the side bust dart. You can see the back, I've also stitched it down, the mid back, and also on the lining I've stitched it down and ironed it open. Now the next thing to do is just to go ahead and stitch the shoulder line for both the fabric and do the same thing for the lining. Now that is the sequence we are going to take to stitch this pattern. Okay, having done that, the next thing that I will be doing is just to close up the sides. You can see that I've already closed it up and I wedged it somehow. You can see how I trimmed the seam allowance so that I will be able to control bulk. You can see how I angled the seam allowance and ironed it open. That is to control bulk on this cloth. Okay, now the next step is to just measure and be sure that both are equal. Now that I've seen that both are equal, the next thing I'm going to do is to trim the lining length. Okay, you watch me do that in this tutorial. I'll just remove like 1/2 inch from the lining. Now the reason for doing this is so that the lining will not come out to the hem of the cloth. The lining will be able to pull up the main fabric without forcing itself out or showing in any way. So that is why I am trimming off this 1/2 inch from the hem of only the lining. Okay, having done that, I'm just going ahead to mark the notch that I put for the zipper for the button allowance, because by the time I join this lining, that notch will not show again. It's now the chalk that will help me know where I put the notch, if that makes sense. So right now I will just go ahead and pin it down all through, ensure that I put the guidelines in place, which are like the side and the center back and all that. I've stitched it down. That is this hem, and I'll go ahead and notch just as you can see me do. After notching, I will just top stitch. Okay, I'll open it up like this and push the seam allowance towards the lining side and then top stitch. That is just what to do right here. And here I have done that, and I've also stitched the button side. You can see that I've applied gum stay along that button and buttonhole part on the lining. Okay, so now having done that, I'll go ahead and bring it out. You can see how I angled that edge, and I will just use something like a pen to push it out. Okay, something that will not spoil the fabric. Please be very careful. So I just used pen to just push it out like that. So this is what I have, and I will go ahead and arrange it appropriately and iron it in place so that everything will look nice and well stitched. Okay, so this is what I have after stitching it down. So I'll go ahead and iron and then move to the next step of this pattern making. I'll also stitch the neckline ready for the turtleneck tutorial. So right now this is what I have, and you can see what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and put the buttonholes there on the right part. The buttonholes will be on the right part of this, while the buttons will be on the left. Okay, you can see there I stitched it close. Yes, from the what I'm copying, the turtleneck is supposed to get here, but my client says she does not want it to get there. But I did remember, it's at this point that I remembered, and I am trying to do it the right way. I'm going to push that place in, ensure that that place is inside so that the turtleneck does not get to the center front just as she wants it, because she says she doesn't want it exactly the way it is on this picture. Okay, so right now this is what I'm going to do to stitch it to an extent about 1/4 from the center front. Okay, away from the center front. So this is what it will look like after that, so that the turtleneck will now start from that point. I hope you understand. So right now this is what I have, and it's already looking beautiful. I've made a mini buttonhole there, improvise, and I'll just go ahead and open it up. This is really improvised because my buttonhole machine has been messing up lately, so I just had to improvise it. Okay, so now I just have to go ahead and measure around the neck so that I will put the turtleneck. I have a tutorial for this turtleneck just before this very tutorial. Okay, I will also link it up in the description box just in case you want to see how I made this turtleneck. So this is just a tip of what I did. Okay, I just had to fold it again like this after measuring it and then put a notch. But please, if you don't understand what I am doing here, I have a very clear tutorial of this very turtleneck. Okay, I'm just putting it here because it's part of this, but I put that one in place so that this video will not be lengthy. So I'm not supposed to even put this turtleneck at all here. So you can see how I pinched it at that upper side and I cut it out. Now this is a turtleneck, all right, and I had to go ahead and cut the interfacing. I'm not going to explain this in detail. If you want to see the detailed tutorial of this turtleneck, please go ahead and look at the description box and you will see it linked up there, and you will not regret watching it. It's one of the ways that you can make your turtleneck. I also have about 2 or 3 tutorials of our other ways that you can make your turtleneck, okay? But this right here is a very unique way and you will love to see it as well. So right here I'm going to put the buttons in place. You can see the turtleneck looking really nice, and I will also go ahead and work on the sleeve. You can see the sleeve, and I will just go ahead and place it like so, line into the fabric and stitch it round, and also bring out the flay and use the lining to turn it. You can see that I applied hasty on the lining and not on the fabric. Okay, I will just stitch it round like this, and I will also stitch the second one, notch it at the hem and top stitch. You can see what I have already for the flay. I top stitched it and ironed it down, and this is what I have for the basic sleeve part. And I'll just go ahead and place it at the middle there, stitch it to the left and then to the right. Yeah, just stitch the flay to the basic sleeve, and this is what we have. I have also serged it. I'll just trim off any thread coming out from serging or from sewing. Yeah, so after doing that, I'll just place the sleeve like this and close it up and also serge it. Now after doing that, this is what I have. I will just turn it inside out and then fix it to the already almost ready top that I made for the sleeve. Okay, this top was to be rocked with a flay skirt, which I've not made. If you want to see this flay skirt, just tell me in the comments and I will show you how the flay skirt is made. Okay, so I'll just fix the sleeve and then put it in the mannequin for you to see. So this is the final result, and I hope you like it. Thanks guys for watching. I will see you in my next one, and I love you all. Bye.